There is a kind of silence that exists only at great heights. Not the silence of an empty room or a quiet street, but something far older and more complete. It is the silence of wind moving across stone that has stood for millions of years, of water carving its patient path through rock, of forests breathing in rhythms no clock has ever measured. This is the world as it has always been, long before anyone was there to name it or map it or wonder at it. And yet, here we are, drifting above it all, carried on invisible currents, watching the earth unfold beneath us like a story written in a language older than words. The camera rises slowly, deliberately, the way a hawk might climb a thermal on a still morning. Below, the land stretches in every direction, textured and alive, painted in colors that no artist fully invented because nature got there first. This is not a journey with a fixed destination. It is an invitation to slow down, to breathe, to remember that the world is extraordinarily, almost impossibly beautiful, and that beauty does not require our presence to exist. It simply is. The first thing you notice about a great mountain range is not its height. It is its weight. The sheer, undeniable gravity of stone piled upon stone, ridge upon ridge, reaching upward with a kind of slow, geological ambition that makes human urgency feel very small indeed. The lens moves across peaks dusted in snow, their upper faces catching the early morning light in shades of gold and pale rose. Shadows pool in the valleys below, deep and blue, while the summits burn bright against a sky so clear it looks almost artificial. These are the Himalayas, the Alps, the Andes, the Rockies, the Dolomites, each range with its own character, its own particular way of meeting the sky. Glaciers pour between the peaks like frozen rivers, their surfaces cracked and ancient, carrying within their blue-white depths a record of centuries. The drone tilts gently, revealing a high alpine meadow tucked between two ridges, impossibly green against the gray and white of the surrounding rock. Wildflowers dot the grass in small explosions of color, yellow and violet and white, trembling slightly in a wind that carries the cold breath of the ice above. There is no sound here that was made by human hands, only the wind, the occasional distant crack of shifting ice, and the vast, patient stillness of stone. Water is the great sculptor of this planet, and nowhere is that more evident than when seen from above. A river seen from the ground is a path. Seen from the air, it becomes something else entirely. A living line drawn across the landscape with a confidence and grace that suggests intention. The camera follows a wide river as it winds through a dense green valley, its surface catching the afternoon light in long silver flashes. The river bends and curves, splitting around islands of sand and gravel, rejoining itself further downstream with the casual ease of something that has been doing this for 10,000 years. Then the water falls. A waterfall seen from above is one of the most disorienting and magnificent things the natural world offers. The river simply ends, and then continues far below, as if the interruption were nothing at all. The mist rises in slow columns, catching the light and scattering it into brief, soft rainbows that appear and vanish in seconds. Crystal-clear lakes sit in mountain basins like mirrors left behind by retreating glaciers, their surfaces so still and reflective that the mountains above them appear twice, once in stone and once in water. The colors shift from deep sapphire at the center to pale turquoise near the edges, where the bottom rises to meet the light. These are not colors that seem entirely real, and yet they are entirely real, produced by nothing more than depth and light, and the particular chemistry of glacial melt. From above, a forest is a texture, a living carpet that moves and breathes in ways that only become visible when you watch long enough. The canopy ripples in the wind like the surface of a slow ocean, each tree swaying slightly out of phase with its neighbors, creating a gentle, rolling motion that is deeply calming to observe. The drone descends slowly into the canopy of an ancient temperate rainforest, where the trees are so tall and so old that their upper branches form a world entirely separate from the forest floor below. Mosses and ferns drape from every surface, and the light that filters through the leaves arrives green and diffuse, as if the forest itself were glowing from within. These trees have been standing for centuries. Some of them were already old when the first maps of this continent were drawn. They have survived storms and droughts, and the slow grinding of seasons beyond counting, and they will likely outlast most of what we consider permanent. Further south, the forest changes character. The temperate green gives way to the dense, layered complexity of a tropical rainforest, where the canopy is so thick that the ground below exists in a permanent, humid twilight. From above, it is an unbroken sea of green, stretching to every horizon, interrupted only by the silver thread of a river or the occasional flash of a bird crossing an open gap in the canopy. The Amazon, the Congo, the forests of Borneo, these are the lungs of the planet, ancient and irreplaceable, and from above they look exactly like what they are, something vast and alive and beyond full comprehension. Where the land meets the ocean, the world becomes dramatic in a very particular way. Cliffs drop sheer into churning water, their faces striped with layers of sediment that record millions of years of geological time. Waves arrive in long, organized lines from somewhere far out at sea, building as the water shallows, then breaking in long, white lines of foam against the rock. The sound, if you could hear it from this height, would be continuous and deep, a rhythm that has been playing without interruption since before there were ears to hear it. The camera moves along a coastline of dramatic sea stacks, columns of rock that once formed part of the cliff but were slowly separated by the patient work of waves. They stand now like sentinels in the surf, their tops green with grass and seabirds, their bases white with foam. Further along, the coast softens. The cliffs give way to wide, pale beaches that curve in long arcs between headlands, the sand so fine and white, it looks like something that was placed there deliberately. Tropical islands appear below, surrounded by rings of coral reef that show through the shallow water in patterns of brown and gold and deep green. The ocean around them shifts through every shade of blue imaginable, from the deep indigo of open water to the impossible, luminous turquoise of the shallows. These islands are small enough to see whole from above, complete worlds in miniature, each one a different arrangement of the same essential elements: rock and sand and water and green. There are places on this earth that have never been named, never been photographed, never been seen by human eyes except perhaps from the window of a passing aircraft. The drone moves over one of these places now, a vast stretch of tundra in the far north where the land rolls in gentle waves toward a horizon that seems impossibly distant. The ground is covered in a mosaic of low vegetation, rust and gold and deep green, threaded through with the silver of small ponds and streams that catch the low Arctic light and hold it like something precious. The sky here is enormous. Without mountains or forests to interrupt it, the sky takes up more than half of the visible world, and the clouds that move through it cast slow, shifting shadows across the tundra below, changing the color of the land from moment to moment. A glacier fills a valley to the east, its surface a pale, fractured blue, its edges calving slowly into a lake of the same impossible color. The ice is ancient. The water it becomes will travel for thousands of miles before it reaches the sea. Everything here is connected in ways that are not always visible, but are always present. The wind moves across the tundra and carries with it the cold of the ice and the faint, clean scent of water and stone. The light shifts as the sun moves low across the sky, never quite setting, painting the landscape in long golden tones that make everything look slightly unreal, slightly more beautiful than the ordinary world allows. And perhaps that is the truest thing that can be said about this planet seen from above. It is more beautiful than seems strictly necessary more varied, more textured, more alive. It does not need to be this extraordinary. And yet, it is.